Hi guys, this is Craig Rivers from Rivers End Outdoors. Are you prepared for what's coming up? Fall in, let's find out. Come along with me. Alright, so what I want to talk about is bushcrafting, survivalists, and prepping. Now, what a lot of people don't know is all three of them go together. If you're a bushcrafter, you're kind of a survivalist because you know how to do what you need to do out on the land. If you're a survivalist, again, you're doing those same sort of things, but you're also collecting stuff and probably doing a little bit of prepping. And a prepper is probably missing most of the skills because can they go out and build a shed? Can they go out and build a fire? Can they fish, hunt, do all those sort of things? You know, it's really hard to say. So, in all actuality, a survivalist is probably the most on top of the game. But what I want to talk about, and I don't normally talk about prepping things, is in my other videos you've seen where I talk about things that you can collect and find and excuse me, use in your survival and bushcraft and all that. Well, this is a lantern I found when I was a little kid in a garbage hole. Now, the bottom of it, you can see, is completely rotted out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a wooden disc and slip it in there. I'm going to drill a hole in it first, and then I'm going to fit it up in there. And then I'll be able to use a candle and put a candle in there and use it as a candle lamp. Now, what's cool about this thing, first off, is that any old junky lantern, you'll be able to find a globe at Amazon. I found this one at Amazon. Real cheap, 10 bucks. The other thing is if you look at this box of candles here, these are Jerusalem candles. There's 72 candles per box. There is 8 boxes of 72. So that comes out to 576 candles. That's over a year. So if you have this lantern, you could have a candle and you could have light every night for a year and a half. And it's a cheap, easy thing to do. Most people don't think about Jerusalem candles. Now, I also got this box. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I got this box on Amazon. So this is, this is a good score. There are tons of things you can get on Amazon to be prepared. Of course, you can get canteens and water cups and everything else you need. So, getting back to our situation today, it's getting a little bit scary out there. SHT hasn't quite hit yet, but I kind of feel like it's a little bit close. Now, you don't have to get carried away. You don't need a lot. You just need your basics. A little bit of a few supplies for around the house in case of an emergency. Good first aid kit. Plenty of ways to start a fire, and a bit of food. And the thing is that I kind of am prepared, and part of the reason why I have candles is everybody keeps talking about grid down, grid down, grid down. Well, get a generator because the grid's down. I guarantee you, if you run your generator 24 hours a day trying to keep your freezer going, you're only going to have enough fuel to run it for a couple of weeks, and you're going to be dead in the water. So the real deal is, of course, being old school like I was, growing up on a ranch out here in a rural area, basically the wilderness, we didn't always have electricity. Some drunk would hit a pole down the road and whack the pole, and it'd take them 10 hours to get it fixed. So we learned to live without electricity. I had people who lived up in the hills that I knew that had generators. And what they would do is they would start the generator in the morning. They would run it all day long, and then they would shut it off at dark, And the rule was in the house was that you could not open the refrigerator after dark. From dark till daylight, you didn't touch that fridge. So you got out whatever you wanted. And they lived like that for years. And so my point is that if you can get by without electricity, all these freeze-dried foods, a lot of your prepper grains, all those things, you can store them without refrigeration or a freezer. That's the big deal. You can get propane freezers. Up in the mountains, we use propane refrigerators and freezers, and they work great. Back in the day, originally, they actually made refrigerators that worked on kerosene. They're kind of hard to find. You kind of got to be careful with those, on how many times you open them in a day, but they work good. So getting back to our situation today where things are kind of falling apart and the price of food is going up and everything, I wouldn't go out and just spend a ton of money on a bunch of stuff. I mean, buying all kinds of prepper foods and all that. You don't really need it. My wife and I, we went to town today. We got a couple sacks of rice and all the basics, a couple cans of lard and salt, sugar, all the things that we need. Now, for me, it's not a problem because if I get hungry, I have cattle. I can always butcher a cow. I got goats, I got chickens, I got eggs, I got all that stuff. And not because I did all that because of prepping, because that's the way I grew up. The problem is if you live in town and you just have a house, you got nothing really, just whatever you can store. During World War II, they had these things called victory gardens. And what they were is in their little houses, and in fact, you can do this in the tract house. There are laws that are called the right to farm law. And of course, it's for large farms or large farming because people have to eat. So there's laws and rules that say you can farm anywhere. In city limits, it don't matter. You can have chickens in town, providing you don't have a rooster, because it annoys the neighbors or whatever. You can have rabbits in town. You can have a small garden. I mean, get busy, plant a garden. Plant all your herbs and vegetables and stuff that you're going to need. Easy stuff like squash, tomatoes. That's all easy stuff to grow. Even corn's easy to grow. You just got to water the heck out of it. Rabbits, the thing you have to do if you're a person in town is you have to get used to the idea of dressing out an animal, killing and cleaning an animal. Now, if you're a fisherman, you've done some of that stuff, so that won't be a problem for you. But if you live in a tract house and you've never done it before, it's going to be tough. You got to get used to it. But, however, once you are used to it, it's no big deal. And rabbit is actually pretty good. The back thigh on a rabbit is kind of just like a pork chop. You cook it right, it's really good. And the other thing is you can use some of those odd meats like rabbit and, whatever, homegrown chicken, turkey, whatever you got, geese, doesn't matter. You can use them in other foods like spaghettis, tacos, and lasagnas, and different things like that you can stretch it out and feed your family. It's a good thing. And the other thing is once you start eating a lot of those foods, you get used to them. Now, what they say is that if a person eats something 10 times, all they have to do is they kind of have to force themselves to eat it 10 times. Then they will start liking it. And I believe that. Because when I was a kid, I hated some of the vegetables that my mom fed me. And after a while of her forcing me to eat it, I would get used to it. Then I would start liking it. I love some of those vegetables today. So, rabbit and some of those things, and actually deer, even lamb for a lot of people, has kind of a gamey taste or a little bit of a different taste. But if you get, again, like I was saying, if you get used to it, you'll start to like it. The other thing is that you can mix it into foods. So goat is actually has the most unusual taste of most of the meats I've ever tried. But goat, I love it because it's really tender. And, if you have goat curry, I mean, there's nothing better than that. I think that's really good. Okay, so I think that's probably about it for this video. I mean, again, look at the candles, 576 candles in this box, and it was not that expensive. The Jerusalem candles are the easiest way to go. You can have lanterns and lantern fuel and all that stuff. The thing is in your house, kerosene lanterns are going to stink. Coleman lanterns, the old pump-up style ones, they're going to stink and they're noisy. The propane ones are pretty good with the little canister. And all these people have these flashlights and all these things that you're going to, that they think they're going to use after SHT. And the problem is they're rechargeable. You need a solar panel. You need a little battery pack, or what they call a generator. They're calling them generators. They're basically just battery packs to charge up with a solar panel. And I found I have actually had probably about 4 flashlights with rechargeable batteries in them, and every one of them went south and went moldy. I had one at work. It was in my toolbox for about 2 months. Opened it up and it was dead on a doornail. Pulled the battery out and it was shot. So, I mean, I would keep flashlights around and batteries and all that stuff, but I wouldn't expect to depend on it. And the thing about candles is you can have a little bit of light. Like if you put a candle on your dining room table, you're not going to see a lot to write. You're not going to write a book or an epic novel under candlelight, although people did in the past. However, what it'll do is it'll give you the ability to walk around in the night, go to the bathroom without stumbling over everything. You'll get the feel of where everything is, and it's just enough to help you get by. The other thing is with candlelight is all the other people that are looking for stuff that you have, you know, because you're surviving and you're doing really well. If you have a generator running out there, they're going to know you got a generator, you got fuel, probably have a refrigerator, probably have food, and they're going to come and try to take all that stuff. Well, the candle, you know, with a couple of heavy curtains, nobody will even know you're up and about in the house. And you kind of keep everything quiet, keep an eye on things, sort of do your own thing, and you're good to go. So, all that being said, I think that's about it for this video. This is Craig Rivers. I hope you enjoyed it, or maybe even learned something. I will probably see you in the next video. Bye now.